that, I'd like to open it up to the floor for questions. Oh, sorry.
This is for Wayne?
Yes.
You said that you studied Shakespeare. What's your favorite Shakespeare play?
My favorite Shakespeare play that I've done is Richard III, because I play the title character and he's a charming villain. Actually, I did it years ago in this area on a tour, and an older woman had come to me and seen the show and said, "You know, you were so charming in the beginning, and then you were such a bastard later." You got it, honey. That's what I was going for. Thank you. But that was most fun I had doing Richard III was my favorite show to do. I don't know. It's beyond that. Like a lot of the comedies are kind of interchangeable as far as the cross-dressing female protagonists and all that stuff. But I'd done Midsummer Night's Dream about 4 times. Loved it every time. I did The Tempest with my wife, who was 8 months pregnant at the time, a couple of years ago, and that was fun. The histories I'm not big on because there's so many characters with 18 different names. Because they're Earl of Warwickshire, but also his name is like Robert, and it just gets confusing.
I got to see him play Bonham in the Midsummer Night's Dream.
That's right, in college.
So we went
right?
to school together, not really in the same class and stuff.
You're a little younger than
He
me.
taught me a little stage combat.
I did do that.
Rolled around a little bit together.
And then in class too, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully that answered your question.
I would say I'm a bigger fan of the tragedies. I mean, those are my favorites. I tend to like some of his darker work.
Thank you for attending our Shakespeare seminar.
Yes. Does anyone else have a question?
Preferably about Shakespeare.
I was just wondering, what kind of feeling do you get if and when you think that all these lines form outdoors, just to see you were part of starting this revolution of building up Yu-Gi-Oh? What kind of feeling do you get?
I personally am
hungry.
That's not true. We just ate. But I've said this before at some other panels. I'm completely surprised at the reaction, and I certainly don't take a personal credit to it. I'm just happy to have been part of something that was done well enough that people responded to and really had a positive experience with. When the show first came out, it was right after the September 11th attacks, and we only had a few shows completed, and the air date was originally scheduled, I think, for September 18th, and they bumped it back because of all the other stuff that was going on. But I nevertheless found myself at 4Kids recording episode 4 or something, I don't remember exactly what, and feeling that this was a very surreal thing to be doing when there was so much else going on in the world that was so important, so much more relevant than me, performing in front of a mic. But then I thought to myself, well, okay, that may be true, but also at that current time in the world, there might have been a lot of scared little kids out there, little boys, little girls, and that if there's something that I can contribute by doing this work, it's maybe giving some sort of heroic character, some sort of heroic element that can be at least a comforting form of distraction for them. And so that at least that's the more meaningful part of what I was trying to do. But when I get asked to go to Australia or New Zealand or here or anywhere, and I see a lot of people lining up outside the door, I'm honestly flabbergasted. And people, I think, often believe that actors do what they do so they get praise. And a lot of them do. Some of them are, built that way. I'm not. And so I'm about as shocked at somebody praising my Wayne.
I was pointing at Darren. It was a visual joke. Do go on.
Well, just to finish up quick though, what I do is a job. So the idea that I would receive that kind of attention is as puzzling to me as somebody asking a plumber to come to Australia because you know what, that sink, it works and the toilet flushes and it's just awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Plumber.
The water goes the other way there too.
Yeah, well, that's not his fault.
But that's why Dan is so rude to his plumber.
Yes.
It's only a job. Come on. You want to thank you?
But it is so flattering. It is so flattering.
There was actually a moment during the live duel that we did today, and I looked out at the crowd of people, and it's very easy when you're recording this show, you have a tendency to say, okay, come in, you do the script, you do your lines, and you're done with your hour session, and you go home and what have you. And there was just this moment today where I was reading this and looking out at all these people, and I was just like, wow, it's kind of incredible that so many people are affected by this or excited by it, and just everyone's very sweet, and it's wonderful to meet you guys, and it's very gratifying. And it really was this kind of moment where I heard these cheers go up during one of the attacks, and I just thought it's incredible. All these people, I'm like, wow, it's quite nice actually.
It might not be meaningful to everybody, but it's meaningful to you, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
I find it amusingly compartmentalized, because here we are in some ways elevated to such gods of voiceover genius, and then bopping down the street being completely ignored because people don't watch the show and have no idea who we are. Don't you know who I am? No, not really.
Don't you know who I think I am?
I've always had my son loves the game. I don't really know how to play, but he fell into it in love. So I've been to a bunch of the tournaments, and I just the same experience these guys have had. People have been so sweet and polite and grateful and seem so excited. The duel today was great, but I was thinking Dan and I went to Nationals in Pittsburgh, and I think that was the first live duel we did, right? That we had ever done. And Dan hadn't really made an appearance in the States, and so we did a Yusei Yugi duel. It was like a rock concert, man, and it was really exciting.
It was.
I was like, I had goosebumps just because the fans here at these tournaments, they really appreciate the show and really know the show, and they just went bananas. And I remember walking off the stage sort of shaking because it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Dan and I kept looking at each other and sort of laughing because he was pulling out all these old school cards, and they just went nuts. And so that stuff is awesome, and mostly that just people are very appreciative, which is nice. It's just nice.
Meanwhile, in the cab ride over today, we had to explain to the cab driver who we are, why we're here.
What's a Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yes.
He just wasn't cool. So.
I don't know, just a little warm and fuzzy feeling. This is my first time meeting people, so it's been really neat just to...
Literally, Eric,
You don't leave
she
the house
doesn't leave her house. This is the first. She's
My
the
first
time she's met
experience
people.
with a human being.
Amongst your
I
kind.
only live amongst canines.
If you look carefully, you see the ankle bracelet on
They
your
lick my
screen.
ankle spots.
I think it's interesting that we all kind of weren't hacking away at a huge voiceover career when we got cast in this, and how lucky is that to be swept up in this, and that it's 11 years later and we're still swept
we
up
still
in this.
care.
Like,
Yeah, that's
what
crazy.
cartoon character lasts 11 years? I mean, there aren't many examples.
Even Mickey Mouse gets tiresome.
In harmony, no less.
Is there another question?
First, I have quite a few questions. How many can you guys really answer?
Oh,
That's a question? 4 questions.
6. Next question.
I have questions.
That's one.
I just want to know that. Well, I believe I saw Dan and Wayne. You guys know about Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series on YouTube.
Yeah.
Done by Lo Privo. Do any other of you guys know about it?
I think everyone knows of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want. This question is specifically for Erica because. Yeah.
And the
duel
episode
said he's.
Don't ask me any specifics.
I just want to know. Have you ever seen any episodes of the Abridged series before?
I think I had this one fan, Adam, that posted something. I think I watched it, but I don't remember anything except for car games on motorcycles. So that's all I remember. Why am I portrayed in a negative light? I'm getting paranoid, slowly but surely.
Yeah, there's a couple comments
Yes.
on mine in the first season, so.
well, she wasn't the first season.
No, it's been my experience doing. I opened up a Facebook page last year just because I had people friend requesting me and who I didn't know, and there were anime pictures, and I didn't want to ignore them. But I thought, well, this will be a nice way for us to get introduced. And it was funny because people would like give me beautiful praise in one sentence and then completely like shut me down and like say something terrible in the next. And I was like, that's very confusing. But I guess that's kind of the way it is. It's like, if they love a character you did, they love it. And if they hate a character you did, they hate it, you know? So I learned to just get like tough skin really quickly because, you know, it's all relative. And even with 4 kids, you telling that story about somebody getting replaced after 12 episodes. I've worked on over 20 shows there, I mean, I think, and I got fired twice.
Yeah.
But the first time it happened, I cried. He called me, and I was the original, in Pokemon, the second series, Max, was original Max. And so I never been fired from anything ever before. When I got fired, and he called me, he was like, I have something to tell you. You're fired.
Boy, this is sort of.
I think I said it.
This is off topic. This is off topic a little bit, but since you're saying about the fans, I just have to share this because I'm on Twitter and I don't really ever retweet anything, but I made a short film on Funny or Die called "Ode to the Landlord" with my daughter, and this Yu-Gi-Oh fan sent me this tweet and said, like that short you made with your daughter. It was a pretty good video, man. So I retweeted it, and I read something like, you know, she carried me or something. And I was like, oh, that's pretty nice, this guy. So then like a day later, he sent me this. Hey, Greg, you were a decent Usain 5Ds. This is the same guy. Hey, Greg, you were a decent Usain 5Ds, but you weren't letting out your full potential, though.
What's his name? Kid Show Business?
Good voice, anyway.
Say that to his face.
Wow.
Yes, I was just gonna ask. Considering that there have been many spin-offs of this original show, does that really seem to bring popularity back to the original, even though the original series has been over for about 8 years now?
It's over?
I was surprised when we went to Pittsburgh. I mean, the show had been over for years, and I think a lot of the players now who are in their early 20s, late teens, grew up on the show. So this is the fan base for it, and
it is surprising.
Yeah, I mean, they came out for Dan, man. It was awesome. So
I mean, it's evident that we're all still here signing cards for the original series. There's obviously a huge fan base for not only 5Ds but the original series as well. So, you know, I think, you know, it's like I'll still watch, you know, a TV show from the 80s or something and love it, you know. So I mean,
or McCullough, voice of Optimus Prime, you know, like people studying Transformers became a huge movie franchise. People had to have his voice back. You know.
And my last question is, do you have any advice for anyone else who might get into voice acting as an adult?
Don't take our work.
Let Ted book a job for crying
Yeah, seriously.
Jesus, I don't get more competition. Good Lord.
Thank you.
To answer seriously, Greg mentioned this yesterday, but we are actors who do voice work, so learn how to act. If you want to create characters and portray characters,
You do an adequate voice. An okay voice.
I'm not suggesting that none of you have the ability to or natural talent.
actually, I think he was suggesting.
But that guy over there, definitely get some lessons.
So learn how to act. You in the hat in the back.
we could.
Slowly getting up, walking away.
I'm kidding.
But there's also you'll hear a lot of pretentious actors talk about their craft or their technique, and there's just a lot of pretentious actors in the world. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a technique. A technique is merely a way of getting something done. A carpenter has a technique. They build houses. Actors have techniques, and they build characters. Sometimes they do it so well it attains the level of art. But at the very least, you should be able to build a character that works, right? And that doesn't just happen because you've been hit by the muse and bling, I did a beautiful job with the character. No. I mean, sometimes that happens, but you can't count on that. So have an approach.
Sometimes people will think if they can do a silly voice,
That's what I was just
they
gonna
can
say.
do. I remember doing an anime convention many years ago, and one of the guys that was helping out at the convention said, "I do an awesome baby dragon voice," and I just remember thinking, "Give me a sandwich, kid."
And I got the sandwich. You did.
He made a great sandwich.
Any other questions?
I was wondering, what was your favorite episode from your characters?
Erica?
Episode 7 was Erica.
I don't, okay, I know why you threw it to me. I'm a little prepared for this, though. I do remember a scene with Yusei in the back of a truck. I really like that scene.
Did you say remembers it?
That's all I'll say. I just thought it was really fun. We were really connecting and sort of like it was a real scene about our lives. And I just remember that episode in particular. I don't remember which one it is.
And it was flirty.
Yeah, it was just really nice and real and fun. I like that one.
Season 3, Episode 4.
Attack of the Evil Egyptian Clone. Good one.
Probably the end of season 1 where Pegasus, you get his backstory finally about his wife and why he did what he did and all that stuff. And then he was gone.
Until season 4.
Well, the chunk of his journey was done at the end of season 1.
Walked away a greater man. The Yugi Joey duel was pretty fun.
Yeah. I think the conclusion of the series in general for my two characters.
I liked my big part in the first movie when I played the newscaster for about 45 seconds.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
And
can you imagine that in 3D?
Yeah. I left after the first couple of minutes of the film. I have no idea how it ended because I was done by then, but it was really cool to be my first theatrical presentation.
I can't really think of a specific episode. I mean, one of the things that's hard with the way the technique is that you go in and do just your part. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I can remember scenes, but unless I was watching every single episode, which I didn't and couldn't, I can't remember like a specific one.
He also smokes a lot of pot, so
that was part of it. I could never find the channel. I'd be, what? You just eat this bag of chips.
Keep your chips away from him. Any other questions?
Mom, Dan was joking. I don't really, because they're recording this. I don't really smoke.
He doesn't even know what it is. The fact that you had to say that makes it even more suspect.
He hasn't yet today.
I have a question. I see that you guys have characters from the original series and 5Ds out. What happened to the GX characters?
Yes, what did happen?
You mean?
I think they were deported.
The actor that plays Jaden sort of just did that series, I think, and nothing else had 4 kids, and when he was done, he was gone like a ghost. None of us are, I mean, I know him, but he's never done any of this stuff.
We were lucky to find him for the 3D movie because that could have been ugly. We didn't track him. And he flew in from LA just to do the movie and then flew back.
It gets a lot of flack, but I had fun working on the show. I mean, Cyrus was an annoying character, but I had fun doing it. It was another sidekick and just high-pitched, and that's not what I like to do. But it was fun.
Chumley was a riot.
I've got two questions for you guys. The first one, I know Greg already said that he did not play. Do any of you guys actually play the game?
Can I tell the story, Dan? Go ahead. Okay, so it's like 02, 03, and Lloyd Goldfine, who used to work at 4 Kids, had this idea to do a live-action tutorial on DVD about how to play the game, and they asked Dan and I to do it. And at the time, our friendship had been forged, and we were hanging out, having a good time. This will actually be a really good thing. We'll learn how to play the game. The worst thing that'll happen is it will inform our performances. We'll know what we're doing. We went in there. 3 hours later, stagger out of the booth in a haze
of rules and
even less sure of how to play the game. We had no idea. I think what little knowledge I had was beaten out of me, saying these lines like, this is happening, you can do this, right? You're going, hey, Joey, you can probably do this. Yeah, I can play this card like this. What did I just say? 3-hour session.
And no idea. And so when you don't have a deep comprehension of the gameplay like so many of you do, and you're trying to say these things with conviction, this is in no way an insult to the game. But from a performance perspective, you're investing in this episode, and then all the stakes couldn't be worse. And then you pull out a card, and then everything magically changes, right? And so I came up with this phrase that I pull it out of my ass card. Defense mode. I win. It's a great game, though, but I don't know how to play it.
I will hazard a guess that it's a generational thing because science has proven that, for example, you can only really learn a foreign language up until a certain age, and then your mind kind of says, no more new stuff, new old stuff. And it amuses me that my son, who is actually a Pokemon trading card game person, can remember all the rules and stuff of the game, and yet can't do his multiplication tables. What's that about? I'm just curious. Thank you.
Okay, my second question, this is on kind of a more serious note. When I came up to have Dan Green sign a couple cards yesterday, I informed him that me and my friends in the hotel room on Friday night, we had this discussion. It just randomly came out of the blue about how
hard times.
Yeah, and that how Yu-Gi-Oh! Quite literally changed all of our lives and just made it better. And I'm sure that we're not the only ones. How do you guys feel that just playing a character has had this impact?
I feel incredibly grateful that it provided something so meaningful to you. And for myself, when I was 15 and through the age of 40, I was going through some hard times. But from 15 to my 20s, I was having a really hard time. I was in therapy a lot, really depressed, and that sort of a thing. And one thing that helped to really get me through that was the music of Peter Gabriel. Now, he didn't intend for that exactly to happen for me, but it did. And that doesn't make it any less relevant, So those areas you draw strength from, that's a gift. And to be associated with something that was helpful and significant to you in that way is an honor.
Well said.
I was going to make a snide comment, but I'll let that.
I'll let the sentiment win there.
And I think, still continuing on that serious note, from a Konami perspective, I don't think the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game would be what it is right now without the contribution that all of you have made to the series. I've seen all of these kids grow up with the game, and the game itself, I think, is sure there's commercial aspects of it, but seeing very introverted kids being able to play with other people and making friends for the first time, seeing them develop into socially active human beings, it's been a pleasure. And I honestly, it's all because of all of you, and I can't but say thank you.
That's very kind.
That just made me think of, my son is really into the game, and although he has other interests, what's cool about it, this is your tribe. That's what it feels like to me. This is a community of people that in some ways might not feel like they fit in other places, but that's why it's so cool to come here, and you can feel that among this people, that this is your tribe. And I see it with my son now. He goes to a store in Scarsdale. They're his people. He'll stay there all day. He speaks their language. He loves it. I literally have seen him twice since we've gotten here because he just goes off and does his thing. And so that part of it's really cool, and it really comes through from the community, It's palpable. You can really feel it.
I'll second that. For my son who plays his Pokemon TCG, in the same room where they're also playing Yu-Gi-Oh! On the other side, and they peacefully coexist. It's very impressive.
Anything else?
Anything else?
We haven't heard from this gentleman.
I actually have a couple unorthodox questions.
All right.
The best kinds of.
I say you guys definitely cheat a lot.
Thank you. Is that a question?
That was the question?
We portray characters who cheat a lot. So this is, that was the statement.
Do you feel better that you got that off your chest?
I just want to know what your favorite card was.
I get this question a lot, like I just have been saying over and over, I don't really play. So my response to that question comes from the story, the relevance of the card to the character in the story. So the Dark Magician probably is, I think, the greatest attachment that Yu-Gi has.
Stardust Dragon. It's a great card, fun to say.
My business card, which I was going to.
I do love saying Obelisk the Destroyer.
My Visa Platinum.
Change of heart.
Probably Dark Magician Girl and Black Rose Dragon. It's a tie.
Blue Eyes Tomb Dragon.
The combo of Baby Dragon and Time Wizard. I just like saying that.
Baby dragon. Baby dragon.
Baby Dragon. Baby Dragon. Everybody, do my voice. Go. I'm tired.
Hey, baby dragon. Baby dragon. Baby dragon. Come on, you. Baby dragon. Hey, what are you talking about? Kids. Or as Wayne was saying when we were rehearsing for the live duel, you know, sometimes he'll call Yuki. He'll say Yug, and during the rehearsal he kept saying Yug.
Hey, they spelled it Y-U-G in the script. Where I come from, that's young.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for the audience as well, and please, a round of applause for...
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very good meeting you.
Just in case you do have some dollars left over, there are still donation boxes for a great cause.
Erica actually took the picture of my twins. Yeah.
Of the picture that's actually on the donation box.
And these are not playing cards.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.